Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun video we are back in the model train / nostalgia room. But we are not going to be talking about model trains as much as I like to talk about them and showcase them on the platform. Today we're going to go kind of in a new avenue and talk about retro video games. If you guys are longtime followers and subscribers, you guys know I love the retro and vintage video game systems. I have the Nintendo Switch that I like to play almost every single morning when I'm having my coffee, just to get my brain ready for the day. When we go on a trip or I go out of town to do a woodworking show, I take the Nintendo Switch with me just to play some games on the go, again while having my coffee and getting ready for the day. It's a great system to play while videos are processing over on the desktop. In the background, you know, I can keep an eye on it while playing a few rounds on the games. I have the retro game library that is a yearly fee you pay through Nintendo that allows you access to all of the classic games, and they are constantly adding more to them, and it's worth every penny in my opinion. And that's one of the few things that I do treat myself to every year is, you know, getting an annual subscription to that library of amazing games. And what better way to kick off this new avenue on the channel than with the original Nintendo Entertainment System that came out here in America in the mid 80s. Keep in mind I was born in the late 80s, so I do not have as many fond memories with that game system as I do with, say, the N64 or the GameCube, which I have a ton of fond memories of playing those classic games. In a previous video I showed you guys a box of retro video game cartridges and asked if you guys would like to see them over here on the platform, and I thought, why not just try it out and try something new over here on the channel. I do have all of the game cartridges set in front of me, and a lot of the cartridges that you see here are going to be from my mom's collection, because keep in mind that system came out before I was born, and she of course liked playing the games in her leisure time as well when she was done with everything that she had to do for the day. But again, we are speaking of the classic vintage Nintendo Entertainment System. It was the first big video game system here that I can remember, and you loaded the game cartridges into the mouth of the system. You press down, kind of like a VCR, close the lid, turn the power on, turn to channel 3, if you guys can remember that, and you were ready for some vintage gaming fun with those classic 8-bit sprites. Now, I do not know if this is the original family game system, because I remember when I packed it up, it used to be displayed on a shelf in my room, and when I made way for all of the pirate stuff I now have in my room, when I packed it up, I put the original Mario and Duck Hunt combo game in the system when I packed it up with love and care. And please keep in mind, before I show you all of these video games, my family, my grandparents especially growing up, and my aunt and my mom really loved going to flea markets, yard sales, thrift stores, and antique stores, and they were always on the hunt for a bargain. So this system that I'm holding here, I've got all the cables to connect it to the TVs and the game controllers and all packed in a box here, and I'll show you the controllers here in a second. This might just be a spare system that they picked up for a good deal. I am just like them. I love hunting down a good deal, a good value on a vintage Hot Wheels car, a Swiss Army knife, or a model train set. So really cool to carry on that legacy. But again, we do have the controller here, and it is the classic brick controller that even back then when I was a kid growing up playing it, it was very uncomfortable to hold, but it is very iconic and historic. With all of the game systems I have displayed here, I have one game system, the game that was most popular on the system, or the game I had the most fun with, and one controller, and the rest of them are packed away in a box. We also have a couple of the peripherals here. We have the Nintendo Zapper gun here for playing Duck Hunt, and I do have a lot of fond memories playing those games, Duck Hunt and Mario. And then we have what is called the Nintendo NES Satellite. Apparently it was for multi-playing capabilities for games that allowed that back in the day. Keep in mind, back then games were very simplistic because of the 8-bit graphic sprites that were in all of the games. Again, all of the cartridges are here in front of me. If I do have some fond memories of playing them or just something to say about them, I will elaborate a little bit. But there's several cartridges to go through, and I'm going to try to make this video as quick and snappy as possible. Now, we've got about 10 or 12 games in these plastic protective sleeves here, so we will go through these first, and then we will go through the loose cartridges. But we will start with Super Mario Bros. 3, and what an iconic game with so many standards and fixtures that became so popular with the Mario series going forward. It had the open world map, it had the 8 massive worlds when you went through them trying to get to the end of the game to fight Bowser, King Koopa to rescue Princess Toadstool, Princess Peach as she is called. So a really cool game, and I remember always trying to find the hidden warp whistle that would allow you to jump to the end of the game very quickly if you didn't have a lot of time to sink into a game like this. And speaking of time spent on games, I only have around 30 minutes every morning to really sit and enjoy the games, and I enjoy them a lot more during the winter and cooler months because I have to give the workshop time to warm up to where I don't go out there and catch a cold or anything, if that makes any sense. But I do love playing the games. Here we have the original Legend of Zelda game, and this is a franchise by Nintendo that I'm not very versed and familiar with. I do know of its historic significance in the gaming world, excuse me, but it's just a game series that I'm very unfamiliar with, and which is odd considering I love mythology and folklore, and this game is about exploration and all the dungeons and everything. But very nice and crisp here. Nice shiny gold cartridge. And one thing I'm very thankful for is all of the stickers on these games are in pristine condition. All of the cartridges are in good condition, even though they have been stored away for several years. Here we have WWF WrestleMania Challenge. And I'm sure this game was picked up from me and my friends because we were huge pro wrestling fans. I know back in the day we all said we were going to be pro wrestlers and want to be like the characters we seen on the TV. You have the classic characters of Big Boss Man, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and ooh yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage. Here we have a game that I know had to be from my mom's collection. We have the classic Pac-Man arcade game, and I'm pretty sure this was hers because she loves this game. I know when we went to the beach and found an arcade for the first time, she quickly found the Pac-Man game and quickly fed the machine a few quarters, and she was off to the races playing the classic game of Pac-Man, trying to escape all the ghosts and collect all of the little dots and everything in the game. Here we have another puzzle game, Tetris. This is a classic game, and I have fond memories playing it as well as on the original Nintendo Game Boy. And the local movie theater, when I was a kid, used to have the arcade cabinet of Tetris, and I remember asking my mom for quarters when we would go and see a movie back then just to play a few rounds before the movie got started. Here we have Super Mario Bros. 2. And this one has an interesting backstory because it has got what is called a reskin of another game to make it into Mario, because when it was released overseas it was deemed too difficult for American gamers to play through at the time. So this is the version that we got. So it has a very cool story to it. And I recently beat that game for the very first time this past year on the family vacation, you know, laying there playing my Nintendo Switch in the morning, waiting for everyone to get up and about. Here we have Timco World Wrestling, another pro wrestling game. I'm sure that was picked up for me. And what I would ultimately love to do is have an old school TV in this room and at least hook up one of the retro video game systems to just go down memory lane in my downtime or in the mornings or in the afternoons. Here we have Mario's faithful steed Yoshi with a nice graphic there with the yellow sticker. Then we have the final cartridge, this in a protected sleeve, NES Open, and it has Mario there in his patriotic golf gear. I do have memories of playing that game. And now the rest of the cartridges, it should be going through a lot quicker because they are just open. Here we have Kung Fu with a nice 8-bit sprite graphic of the Karate Man on the cover. David Crane's A Boy and His Blob, Trouble on Blob Mania, looks like what it says. Have no idea what this game is about, but it looks like in a former life it used to be a rental for the Blockbuster movie rental franchise. I miss Blockbuster. Here we have Pinball. Looks like Mario is holding the board there to bounce the ball on. Nintendo really made Mario the center focal point, like Sega made Sonic the focal point of their gaming franchise. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and I never got to the end of the game to fight the final boss. Alien 3. I guess this was based on the popular movies. I was not a big fan of the Alien movies because they were very sci-fi, and that's just not a genre that I'm drawn to. I liked the Predator series way more than I liked the Alien franchise. But here's the game. Alien 3. Data East Karnov. Have no idea what this game is, but it has some dinosaurs here and looks like a Street Fighter. Operation Wolf. Take No Prisoners. Looks like a war-based game. Here we have Metroid, and again, this is another iconic Nintendo franchise that I have not spent a lot of time on, even though I have access to them, just like the Legend of Zelda series, through the Nintendo Switch online library. But the historical significance for Nintendo for Metroid cannot be understated. It is very popular, spanning several of the game systems. Capcom Game Pack, Legendary Wings. Looks like a nice Icarus figure there on the cover. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. And what's cool about the graphic here is they are all depicted in the classic red bandanas, just like the comic book. And we'll follow that up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project. And on that sticker, they are depicted just like in the classic cartoon show I remember watching, with their classic colors. Like in the movies, they have red, orange, purple, and blue. Huge Ninja Turtles fan growing up. Tom and Jerry, the ultimate game of cat and mouse. I do remember playing this game vaguely. Huge fan of Tom and Jerry growing up. They had the Tom and Jerry show, you know, that was a very vintage cartoon show, especially for me, watching it growing up. And I remember the very first and original Tom and Jerry movie that came out, where they actually spoke and communicated with each other and became allies and went on an adventure. Here we have 10-Yard Fight. I guess that is a football themed game, judging by the graphic there. Tiny Toon Adventures 2, Trouble in Wacky Land. This was another cartoon show I remember fondly watching when I would get home from school and complete my homework. Data East Bad Dudes, Top Arcade Hit. I guess this is another Street Fighter themed game. Here we have Gyromite. I do know of this franchise and game and how you play it and everything, but it's not a game that I really remember playing a lot. Konami Castlevania, another big franchise in the gaming world. I believe this game was the original one, and it spans several consoles, like, you know, the Metroid and Legend of Zelda and Mario series. Dragon Warrior, a nice medieval design with a dragon and knight on the cover. Here we have one that I know without a doubt was in my mom's collection. We have Jeopardy. She is a huge fan of that game show, and I have fond memories of sitting and watching it with her, as well as the Wheel of Fortune. Here is a unique cartridge. It's not even shaped like the other cartridges. Traditionally, the sticker's upside down and everything, but it says Quattro Adventure, 4 games in 1 cartridge, Boomerang Kid, Super Robin Hood, Treasure Island Dizzy, Linus Spacehead, Quattro Adventure. And you can see it unfortunately does have some scratches and dings on it. And on the back, it looks like it has a slot for some kind of added peripheral. Have no clue what would be plugged in there. Eliminator Boat Duel has a nice 80s-esque nostalgic sticker there with the purple and red hues and the speedboat on it. Daydreamin' Davy, nice cartoon logo there. And again, I'm just happy with how crisp all of the decals are. They're not dry rotted or peeling or anything like that. Here we have just basic golf with a character in the 8-bit sprite logo again. The original arcade hit Popeye, and this is what's called a port, meaning they took the big arcade cabinet and they ported it down to a game cartridge to where you could play it at home. Big fan of Popeye the Sailor Man. I yam what I yam because I eats me spinach. The classic with Robin Hood in it is, well, Robin Williams in it, excuse me, is very underrated in my opinion, even though it is kind of a musical. The set that they built for that video and that movie that came out was very immaculate, and I think it's still standing today. Here we have another copy of Kung Fu. Again, it might have been picked up at a garage or yard sale for a good deal. Here we have Contra, and I don't have any memories of this, but when my cousin's husband came over for Christmas a couple years ago, I had the little game system hooked up to the TV, the NES mini system, you know, where you could play the old games, and he played a bunch of rounds on this because he really remembered, you know, playing this game when he was growing up. And it does have a yard sale or thrift store sticker on it. Treasure Master has a very kind of pop culture 80s sticker on it. Here we have Data East Burger Time, and I'm very happy to have this one in the collection and happy to see it here because they have this arcade cabinet at the beach, and I remember seeing it, and I do believe a whole episode of the cartoon show Bob's Burgers was centered around this game. Here we have Super Dodgeball, and on the cover there it's got the character getting hit with the dodgeball. Another copy of Super Mario Bros. 3. So again, probably picked up at a garage or yard sale for a good deal. Excite Bike. Now I do remember playing this game, and back then, before I could really read real good, again I was very young, you know, playing this game system, so my memories are not as fond, but I do remember this, and I remember wiping out constantly in the game, you know, because they had a feature where the motor on the bike would overheat, and, you know, you'd try to get up the hills and then he would wreck. So I do have memories of playing this game, and I got to enjoy it a lot more as I got older and my reading comprehension got better and better. Quarterback, another football game. I believe that was 2 in the stack that I'm showing you today. And then finally, the last game, Paperboy. And I do have a lot of memories playing this game with the character riding on the bike trying to escape the neighborhood dog that chases him, and then trying to get all of the newspapers into the bullseye of the mailboxes of all the houses as you were going along on your paper route. But really cool, really happy to share all this with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy seeing it as well. What I want you guys to do, if you seen a video game cartridge in here that brought back some memories, please let me know down in the comments. And if you would like to see more gaming stuff going forward and like to see me just documenting the collection and everything like we have done here, of course appropriately the next game system we would go to would be the Super Nintendo, because that was next in line after the basic big bulky cumbersome regular Nintendo Entertainment System. But I'm happy to have these in the collection, and I'm happy that they are in such pristine and immaculate condition. And I'm not one of those that knows a lot of the value of the games. I know like what some of the like holy grails in some collections are, you know, like how valuable they are, but I have no clue what these are worth. And again, it's not about the value, it's more about preserving the memory and the nostalgia factor that I'm going for in this room. So hopefully I can get a shelf put up and hopefully get them displayed to where I can have them up like this to where you can read what all the labels are there on the top. But thank you all for following along on this new feature over on the platform, and I hope you all enjoyed the journey with me as I went down memory lane like I like to do. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.